Welcome to the Book Angle, where we talk about books from different angles and sometimes go in circles. I'm Anna, and this is Sabrina, and it's 2024.
That's so weird.
Yeah, we
Whoa.
are filming this January 1st. So, literally the start of a new
Happy New
year.
Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah. Well,
So, we're going to talk about our reading goals because it's the beginning of a new year. We're going to talk about our previous goals from 2023, whether or not we met them, and what we're going to be doing in 2024, or what we're hoping to do in 2024, I guess.
I think, yeah, I mean, everyone will hear. I think we did a great job with the majority of our goals for the most part.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I want to preface before we get into our discussion. I always see a lot of discourse on the internet around
Oh,
reading goals every year at
so
the end of the
aggressive
year, and people can get very heated
and aggressive.
over, yeah, aggressive over. I've seen people get attacked for the amount of books that they read, where people are
Mhm.
like, "Oh, you're lying. There's no way you read that many books," or getting attacked for saying you don't have a life. You read too many books. Um,
Books are life. Go on.
I want to be very clear that we do not judge anyone for the amount of books that they read and whether or not you met your goal. Like, if you're reading and you're enjoying it, then that's great. I did
Yeah.
not meet my goal, to be fully transparent. I didn't meet my goal for this year, and I'm totally fine with it. Like,
Yeah.
it was a little bit
Oh,
of a. Oh, go ahead.
well, no, just thinking about what you're saying, because there have been some people, even on some of our videos, where they
Mm-hmm.
have this discourse of, we'll just stop and smell the roses. But for me, setting a goal isn't necessarily, oh, I have to meet this. I have to make something that I love into a job, right? It's actually just, I want to make sure I make time and prioritize doing something I love. There are times where I make to-do lists and I put on there, call Anna just to talk, not to talk to you about like work things, just to say hi.
Mm-hmm.
So people get upset. I'm like, I'm making time for something I enjoy. And if I don't meet it, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine.
The
But
point
yeah.
is, yeah, to prioritize something that we enjoy doing,
Mhm.
and we are absolutely not going to get upset with anyone who reads more or less books than we do. Like,
Yeah.
it's, you have to be aware that there are other things going on in people's lives, and whether or not you see that on the internet doesn't mean that it's not happening. um, so just wanted to put that out there before we get started with, like, if you feel like, wow, there's no way that I could have read that many books in a year, when we talk about our numbers, please know that, like, it's because we don't really do a lot of other stuff. um
But not that that's a problem for
no, and
us.
that is not a problem. Like, I prioritize. I One of the reasons I didn't meet my goal this year is because I prioritized other things that were just as important to me, like playing TTRPG, tabletop role playing games with my friends online, and that took up more time. So anyway, let's get into it. So what was your,
Disclaimer done.
yeah, I'm gonna stop because I could go on forever about this. What was your goal for 2023?
So I had a couple of different goals. For the past several years, I have only read middle grade novels because I was a middle school teacher and I taught English. And I really wanted to prioritize reading adult people books this year.
Adult people.
Because that was just really important to me. Not necessarily inappropriate adult books, but just something that adults read and
Hmm.
I could bond with them. And I also had the goal of reading 50 books, and you and I had a shared goal of starting a book channel or finding an opportunity to discuss books
Hmm.
together. I met two out of the three goals. And so I did start reading more fantasy novels that were written for adults and other adult fiction novels. I was proud. However, if you look at my books for the year, I would still say 2/3 are middle grades books. So I met that goal still. And we started this. We're doing great. It's meeting my other life goals of, hey, spend more time with your friends. Yay, friends. Um, but I only read 47 out of 50 of my books. I was only 3 books
You were so
away.
close.
I was so close. And I would have met it, I think, if I didn't start reading Crescent City toward the end of the year.
Hmm.
Crescent City, that's a ginormous book.
Yeah.
So, what are
I
some of your goals?
I was never going to meet my goal. Well, maybe at the beginning of the year I had a chance. I set my reading goal for 75 books this year. And the reason I did that is because I had set my goal for 60 in
Mhm.
2022 and I ended up reading 70. So I was like, okay, so
Wow.
75 is only 5 more than what I had already read in the year previous. So I was like, okay, well, I know that I'm um doing this and this during the year, and with that given time, like I think that I could swing reading that many books. um yeah, life doesn't always go as planned, so I did not end up having as much time as I anticipated, and I also ended up prioritizing other things, like playing a lot of tabletop role playing games, which is my other job, so to speak, with my husband over at Misty Mountain Legends.
Going to
So
conferences
yeah, I
and
went to
traveling a lot.
3 different business focus kind of things for content creation, that took up a lot of prep time and a lot of money. It's like, I don't know, there's like a tiny little paw poking up into camera because Pinto was rolling around on her back and it just distracted me because it was cute. Anyway, um, what else did I do this year? I got sick over the summer and I did not read a ton because I felt horrible and I just did not have the energy to do anything except for lay in
You
bed
were
all day.
also writing a book.
Oh
I don't know if
yeah.
that's a secret, but you've been writing a book,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
finished
important.
I finished one. I finished my children's book, and that is currently where I'm in the process trying to get that published, and I'm working on a full-length adult fantasy. So, yeah,
And
I
it's
had
really
other things
good.
going on in my life that I needed to.
And I really need your adult fantasy to be published. But
So, that said,
how many
did not
books did you end up reading?
do what?
How many books did you end up
I
reading?
ended up reading 64 books. I have
Uh,
Goodreads does this like my year in books. Oh, the glare is really bad.
you can
Um,
kind of see it. There you go.
yeah, my year in books, and it
Uh-huh.
does like a synopsis of your highlights. So I read 64 books, 24,000 pages, 700 no, wait,
Wow.
24,730 pages. Um, my shortest book was Unhinged, which
Which was
was
unhinged.
which was a book that I discovered on TikTok. People were talking about it. It was my first and probably only erotica that I have ever read. And I was
Gave it
so I
5 stars.
did give it 5 stars, because I was so curious why people were like, wow, this is actually pretty good. And the whole plot is that it's a door, like a physical door, a
Adore.
wooden door, that is sentient and falls in love with a woman. Um, and it actually made sense. And it was not nearly as graphic as some of the other things that we read that were not labeled as erotica. So,
Mhm. That's fair.
I don't know what that says about romance, but longest book was House of Sky and Breath, which is the second Crescent City book. Fun fact, as of recording this video, I still haven't finished that book. I did count it towards my goal because I had finished 80% of it as
You'll
of
finish
last
it
night,
today.
and I'm gonna finish it today. So,
Yeah, it counts. I know you'll finish it. When Anna reads a book, she reads it very
I was
fast.
like, I have invested so much of my time into this book, it's going to count towards my goal.
Yeah.
So, um, so that was like the highlights of like the analytics of some of the stuff that I read. Um, do you want to talk about what some of your favorite and least favorite books were from this past year?
Well, what I really want is to figure out how to get my year at a glance with Goodreads. Because when you're talking about the pages you've read, you sound so impressive. Um, but maybe I'll figure that out for next year. Let me pull up my notes. I know that my favorite book of the year, and I've brought it up so many times on this channel because I stand by it. I really enjoyed this novel, which was the um, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murder.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely just loved that book. I have recommended it to so many people. Almost everyone has given it a 5 stars. I had one person give it a 4.5, but they're like, "It's okay, I'll still round up," you know? It made me giggle. It had found family. The murder mystery was still good. I just really enjoyed it. So, I would say that was my number 1. And I reread the Lightning Thief series. Has to go up there. I loved rereading a childhood book that I just enjoyed, and I was really pumped for the Disney show. So I would say that was probably up there too. Um, gosh, I am stuck between 2 for my last one. They're very different.
We'll just say both of them then.
Well, one of them is a middle school book, but I called you crying after reading it. Do you remember it?
No.
When Stars Are Scattered.
Oh.
It was about
I
by
remember you talking
Omar.
about it. I just don't remember you
Yes.
crying.
Well, I don't cry on the phone with you. I cry
Oh.
before and then call. But it was so good. It's actually a graphic novel, but it's about a boy who escaped and fled from his city and lived at a refugee camp in Kenya. And it was actually a memoir. And at the end, he gets reunited with his mom, who has been looking for him for like 20 years. And you just get to see him taking care of his brother. And he ended up going to school in America and just this whole story. And it's an actual person who has now been doing so much work for refugee camps abroad. It was just a very sad, gut-wrenching, but wholesome story of hope that I just really enjoyed. And then my second one's so different, and you're gonna be like, "Sabrina, what the heck?" But the mob mentality around Fourth Wing did get me. Did get me. It wasn't my best book of the year, but it was my best vibe of the year because I was able to talk about Fourth Wing with so many people,
Okay.
and it was everywhere. It was not the best book, but it was such a good vibe because I felt like I wanted to read adult fantasy, and I did it. You know what I mean? I was like, "Ooh, I know what these people are talking about on Instagram."
So
It was
not
a
A Court of
long.
Mist and Fury. That doesn't get a mention. I thought you were going to say that.
No. No, because it wasn't the same. It was popular a long time
You
ago.
missed the
I know
hype.
that Sarah Maas is still really popular,
Yeah.
but the hype was happening in real time for Fourth Wing.
Hmm.
I haven't been a part of something like that since Twilight.
That makes sense. It was the
Yeah,
community aspect of it added to
community.
the um so I have had a really hard time looking back through my books cuz again, Goodreads gives you this really nice like
I
um
love this.
yeah, like it just gives you all the covers of the books that you read and it's very like aesthetically pleasing.
Hmm.
Um I'm having a really hard time picking a favorite read because I had a lot that I was like, wow, these are really, really good. And then I had a lot that were like, it's whatever.
Hmm.
That was kind of the vibe for the year was either I loved it or it was just whatever. Um, so I feel like I have to give an honorable mention to T. Kingfisher because I read 10 of her books this year.
Love
Um,
her.
yeah, and everything I read by her was amazing. Some of it was not as good as some of her other stuff. Um, but I think I rated everything I read by her at least got 4 stars, if not five. So I will always recommend T. Kingfisher. Uh, but Little Thieves. I feel like Little Thieves by Margaret Owen, as well as Painted Devils. I really enjoyed that duology.
Hmm.
And I also read her other series, The Merciful Crow and The Faithless Hawk, which is also a duology. She just does duologies really, really well. And you also read Little Thieves.
And
Um,
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
yeah, so I feel like that was like a surprise one for me because I didn't really know anything about her as a writer and I didn't really know anything about Little Thieves before I started reading it. And then I was like, whoa, I really like this. So that has to be in there. Um, and then you talked about reading The Lightning Thief again. I read Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine, who that book, my copy is quite literally falling apart because I read it so much as a child and I was a little worried to revisit it as an adult because I was
Yeah.
like, am I gonna read this and it's gonna be like not what I remembered. Uh, but I gave it 5 stars. So still love it. Still a childhood favorite. It was just so like warm and comforting to read it again. So that was really
Hmm.
fun to like rediscover it, even though I still was very familiar with the story. But
Yeah.
um, just reading it in a different perspective and being like, wow, I still really enjoy this. Um, Something I
That's
really
awesome.
didn't like.
Oh,
Because you said, oh, did you say the ones that you didn't like yet?
no, but tell me. I'm
Okay.
here for the cause.
Okay, so I read a book that I have not talked about anywhere. I'm scrolling trying to find the cover so I make sure I got the My Best Friend's Exorcism. This was recommended to me by my hairdresser, and Brittany, if you're watching, I'm so sorry. Um,
But please do a good job on her hair still.
I love my hair. I didn't love this book. She recommended it to me, and I read it. I finished it, and it made me uncomfy in a lot of ways, and not just in a like, oh, that's like an unsettling theme. Let me sit with it and think about it, and I feel like this book did it justice. No, it was like let's just blame the victim and we're gonna make that sound like it's okay. And it was very frustrating to read because the main character and her best friend are going through some stuff. And the adults in their lives do absolutely nothing to help them. And the things that are happening to them, major trigger warnings for sexual assault. It's very graphic in the sense that like it's just gruesome. And
You were also told it was funny.
yeah, I
Like
was
it
told
made
it was a comedy. It is absolutely not a comedy at all. If it is, I didn't. It's not my sense of humor to, um, yeah, blame victims of sexual assault for what happened to them and then not listen to their stories. So that really unsettled me, and there was not really a sense of justice at all in the resolution. So that was my least favorite by far.
Yeah, that one was all I mean, I didn't read it, but it was also really disappointing because we had such a funny video idea for it that would complement it so well, but Anna was like, "By the way, don't read this, and we're doing a different video."
Yeah,
And
because
I'm
we
like,
were
"Oh,
gonna
this
do
is
something
serious."
around it for Halloween, and then I read it
Yeah.
first, and I was like, I'm not uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable giving this any kind of like promotion.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm so happy I didn't read it.
yeah,
You saved me from that. Um, my least favorite book, it's one I had never heard about. But I think it's mostly just because it came out a long time ago. It's called Repossessed by A.M. Jenkins, and it actually won a Prince Award in 2007. So it's an award-winning book, but it's about a demon named, I don't think I'm saying it right, Curiel, a fallen angel, and he repossesses the body of a boy named Sean. And it's because he's like, my day job is boring. I just want to see what it's like to be a human. And you think it's going to be funny. And there are parts that are funny. You know, he takes over this person's body and he experiences what it's like to have wind brush against his skin for the first time and to eat food, and he's obsessed with ketchup, and so I just remember reading some of these things and like, "Oh, this is so interesting." And you think that he's gonna have this big heart where he's gonna realize maybe demon life is not for me, right? And there's such a good sense of that, and then the book just ends. It just ends. It like, he is sent back to his realm, and I'm sorry if I'm ruining it, but he's just sent back to his realm, and it's over. And Anna and I hadn't even been recording anything for the book angle yet. I called you and I'm like, "I just read this book and it bothered me, and I just wanna talk about it," because it had such I just had such high expectations. It really could have been a
Mm-hmm.
five-star book, and the ending made it a 1 for me. Like, I just couldn't believe they would end it the way they ended it. So, that was my least favorite. It's
Yeah.
bad. But it could have been great. I don't know how it won an award. Maybe they saw the potential of what it could have been. I don't know. On that note of what we don't like, what goals do we have? What are, like, your top 2 goals for next year?
Okay. So, well, one of the goals that I didn't talk about was for 2023 was to revamp my YouTube channel, um,
Mm,
which used to be called Misty Mountain Reads, now is the Book Angle, because I had tried to do this on my own before, and doing it by myself was just not fun, um, in the long run, so I didn't stick up with it, but we had talked about doing this, we ended up doing it together. Um, so, new goals for 2024. Uh, Book reading goal, I want to read 60 books. That's 5 books a month.
mhm,
I think that that is going to be manageable considering I read more than that this year.
mhm,
Um, so I'm hoping that it seems like a reasonable goal. I'm not going to pressure myself into reading more than that. And if I don't make it, then oh well. Um, Another goal I have for reading is I want to read and finish something that's nonfiction. I started several nonfiction books and just never ended up finishing them because I got distracted. Uh,
mm,
and there were some interesting stuff. So I am like, I need to actually invest more time in that. Um, and not just because I'm like, oh, I want to be a better person by reading nonfiction and like, but it was interesting. So I feel like branching out a little bit more out of my comfort zone into something that is not exactly what I always pick up would be good.
yeah. I have set my goal to 50 again because even though I am almost 100% confident if I hadn't read Crescent City toward the end of the year, I would have met my goal. I was still pushing it kind of close.
Mm-hmm.
I still would have had to be speed reading. So I want to start it at 50. Um, I have, well, I'm curious. I'm gonna have another question for you. Personal goal. I really want to read the Throne of Glass series. I
Mm-hmm.
have heard that this is Sarah J. Maas's best book series ever. I'm not loving Crescent City so far at all, really.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy A Court of Thorns and Roses. And so if this book series is better than that one, I'm curious. Like I want to read it. I want to know what the people are talking about on the internet, when they bring it up. But I am curious for you, do you have a YouTube goal? Do you have a book angle goal for us that you hope by the end of the year we can watch this video again and be like, "We did it."
Um, mm, that's hard because I have like things that I aspire for. Like it would be nice for us to reach a point where we can monetize it. Um,
Uh-huh.
but we've always said that we would do this until it was no longer fun. And then that was like our like, okay, that's like where we stop because it's not something that we enjoy anymore. Um, but I think it would be fun. I don't know if we'll manage it this year, but something we've talked about is like going to a book focused convention as the
I would
book
love
angle.
that. Yeah,
Um, so something like Y'all Fest or there's a few others that we could potentially go to. It's just that's time and money. And I already go to a lot of conventions for Misty Mountain Legend stuff. So it would be nice to get to a point where we're invited to these things, but
Mhm.
we're small potatoes right now.
Where's
Like,
yeah, I had thought about what you quite literally what you just said, but in 2025.
yeah,
I have big plans for us next, not this year, next year.
yeah.
Um, yeah, my plans honestly for this year were at maybe by the end, monetization. That was something that I was thinking about, but also just that well, I don't know, because I feel like it's true, but that we would see each other quarterly. That was something that I had in mind, that it would be really nice to make plans to visit in person, see each other as friends, but also do like booktube things quarterly and
Hmm.
make that just something so that way it's a fun, refreshing, we get in-person content and we get good friend time and that helps our YouTube channel because we'll be together.
Hmm.
Ooh. But yeah, I did think about a conference. So I just didn't think we'd be invited to one this year.
No.
But most of them are in November.
Yeah. Who knows?
Me, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Tune sure if you're watching, we would love to meet you too.
Yeah, and just a side note about the monetization for anyone who's not a YouTube creator, um,
Yeah,
the reason that is a goal for us is because we put a lot of time and effort into our videos. It may not be apparent to you as a viewer, but it takes a lot of time and effort to make these videos. And even getting like $20 a month would be like, okay, now I can pay for the subscription that I use to edit these videos, So I'm not like
yeah,
out of pocket every month creating stuff, which right now I currently pay to make these videos. So that would be nice to like cover the costs of our
yeah,
expenses, even though they're small. So
yeah. And yeah, and it's just like cool. Be like, I'm monetized on YouTube now. I'm doing it for the street cred. But I also think the bigger goal is that we make sure that you and I continue to have fun doing what we're doing. So far, we're doing it. Go us.
yeah.
Okay, thanks. I'm like, don't leave me hanging. Um, well, those are some of our goals, our personal goals and our booktube goals. Do you have any reading goals? What's your magic number for this year? Do you not like reading goals? Tell us why, but don't come after us. And yeah, we would like to know more about maybe what you would like to see from us in the new year too. What do you want to see from us? Do you want to invite us to a conference? We are here for it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah. So on that note, Happy New Year and
Like and subscribe. I know my
bye
lines
y'all.
now.